0:00 to 0:45. The date is September 9, 1942. The location: the rugged, forested coast of Oregon, United States. A lone aircraft, its engine a distant drone, breaks the dawn silence. It is a Japanese Yokosuka E-14Y Glenn seaplane, a tiny, two-seater reconnaissance craft, now repurposed for a clandestine attack. Below, the sprawling Siskiyou National Forest lies cloaked in morning mist. The pilot, Warrant Officer Nobuo Fujita, guides his fragile machine over the tranquil landscape, a landscape untouched by the direct horrors of war, until this very moment. He descends, positions his aircraft, and releases 2 incendiary bombs, each weighing 76 kilograms, into the dense canopy. The bombs fall, striking the earth with muffled thuds, designed to ignite a raging inferno. For the first time in history, an enemy aircraft delivers bombs to the contiguous United States. It is an act of audacious defiance, executed by a single man in a forgotten corner of the world. But how could such an impossible mission be conceived, and what could one pilot hope to achieve against a continent? 0:45 to 3 o'clock. The year 1942 sees the Pacific ablaze. Japan, fresh from its stunning victories across Asia and the Pacific, faces a new psychological challenge. 4 months prior, in April 1942, American B-25 bombers, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle, strike Tokyo and other Japanese cities in a daring raid, launched from an aircraft carrier. The Doolittle raid, while causing limited material damage, delivers a significant blow to Japanese morale and shatters the perception of the homeland's invulnerability. The Imperial Japanese Navy seeks a retaliatory strike, one that will demonstrate Japan's reach and ability to strike at the American mainland, sowing panic and diverting critical resources from the Pacific Front. Enter Warrant Officer Nobuo Fujita. Born in 1911, Fujita is a seasoned naval aviator, having joined the Imperial Japanese Navy in 1932 and becoming a pilot a year later. He is a man of precision, discipline, and quiet determination. His previous assignments include reconnaissance flights over critical Allied harbors, flying his Glenn seaplane over Sydney, Melbourne, Hobart, Wellington, Auckland, and Fiji, often under the very noses of the enemy. He possesses a unique skill set, the ability to operate a delicate seaplane from the confines of a submarine. This specific capability, once primarily for scouting, now becomes the linchpin of an audacious plan. Japan's secret weapon lies not in a new bomber, but in the I-25, a B-1 type long-range submarine, displacing 2,344 tons surfaced and 3,315 tons submerged, measuring 108.7 meters in length. This underwater behemoth carries a single Yokosuka E-14Y Glenn floatplane, disassembled and stowed in a watertight hangar on its forward deck, ready to be rapidly assembled and launched by catapult. The combination of a submarine that can cross oceans undetected and an aircraft capable of striking an enemy's heartland is a concept far ahead of its time, a tactical surprise that few, if any, in the Allied command could imagine. 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock. The idea of bombing the American mainland is met with skepticism, even within the Japanese high command. The technical challenges are immense. A single, small floatplane, with a maximum speed of 246 km per hour and a cruising speed of 167 km per hour, carrying a limited bomb load, seems an insignificant threat against a vast continent. Its operational range is approximately 881 kilometers. The logistical hurdles of launching, flying, and recovering such a plane from a submarine, often in rough seas and under the constant threat of detection, are staggering. No one truly believes it can achieve more than a symbolic gesture. The Doolittle raid, however, has ignited a desire for psychological warfare. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the architect of Pearl Harbor, even considers using larger I-400 class submarines, true underwater aircraft carriers designed to carry 3 bomber float planes, to attack targets like the Panama Canal. But those behemoths are still years from completion. Fujita's mission, using the existing I-25 and its Glenn, is a scaled-down, immediate response. It is a mission born of desperation and ingenuity, an attempt to demonstrate capabilities that do not yet fully exist on a grand scale. In America, the mainland is considered inviolable. While Pearl Harbor has shattered illusions of invincibility for overseas territories, the contiguous United States feels largely immune to direct attack. Coastal defenses are geared towards naval bombardment, not aerial incursions from an unknown, submarine-launched aircraft. Rumors of Japanese bombers over Los Angeles in December 1941 are later proven false. The vastness of the Pacific Ocean provides a psychological shield, fostering a sense of security. The very notion of a Japanese plane flying over Oregon, dropping bombs, is dismissed as inconceivable, a fantasy conjured by fear. They are all wrong. The impossible is about to unfold. The element of surprise, coupled with the sheer disbelief of the American public and military, becomes Fujita's most potent weapon. He and his crewman, Petty Officer Okuda Shoji, are tasked with a mission that seems almost suicidal in its isolation and vulnerability, yet it carries the weight of an entire nation's desire for retribution and psychological impact. The target itself is carefully chosen. Rather than heavily defended cities, the objective is the vast, timber-rich forests of the Pacific Northwest. The plan? To ignite massive forest fires, drawing American resources, firefighters, military personnel, aircraft, away from the war effort in the Pacific. This strategy, later employed with limited success in the Japanese fire balloon campaign, is an early attempt at environmental warfare. The I-25 itself is no stranger to American shores. In December 1941, it torpedoed the empty oil tanker SS Connecticut off the mouth of the Columbia River. In June 1942, it shelled Fort Stevens, near Astoria, Oregon, becoming the only military installation in the contiguous United States to be attacked by a foreign enemy warship since the War of 1812. These actions, though minor in damage, are precursors to a more audacious plan, setting the stage for Fujita's unique mission. The stage is set for a lone pilot to challenge the perceived invulnerability of a continent. 8:32:00. The I-25, under the command of Lieutenant Commander Akiji Tagama, departs Yokosuka, Japan, on August 15, 1942. Aboard are Fujita and Okuda, along with 6 76-kilogram incendiary bombs. The submarine embarks on a long, arduous journey across the vast Pacific, carefully avoiding established shipping lanes and patrol routes. This is not a simple transit, it is a covert operation requiring extreme precision and stealth. The crew of approximately 100 men maintains strict radio silence, enduring the cramped, often stifling conditions of a wartime submarine. The first attempt to launch the Glenn off the Oregon coast near Brookings is planned for September 7, but severe weather conditions, including rough swells, make a launch impossible. The I-25 remains submerged during the day, surfacing only at night to recharge its batteries and await better conditions. 2 days pass, a period of heightened tension and anticipation for Fujita and the submarine crew. They are deep in enemy waters, a single, vulnerable target. Finally, on the morning of Wednesday, September 9, 1942, the weather improves. Before dawn, at approximately 6 o'clock, the I-25 surfaces discreetly off the coast of Oregon, west of the Oregon-California border. The location, near Cape Blanco, is chosen carefully, likely due to its remoteness and the prevalence of dense forests. The crew springs into action, working with practiced efficiency in the dim pre-dawn light. The watertight hangar on the submarine's deck is opened, revealing the Yokosuka E-14Y Glenn seaplane, folded and compact. The assembly process is a delicate ballet of mechanical precision. The Glenn, with its fabric-covered wings and metal and wood airframe, is carefully removed from its hangar. Its wings, designed to fold for storage, are extended and locked into place. The twin floats, crucial for water landings, are secured. The 340 horsepower Hitachi radial engine is checked, and the two 76-kilogram incendiary bombs are loaded onto the aircraft. Fujita and Okuda climb into the tandem-enclosed cockpits. Fujita, a man of quiet resolve, carries his family's 400-year-old samurai sword with him, a deeply personal tradition on every flight, a symbol of his heritage and his readiness for whatever fate may bring. With everything prepared, the Glen is positioned on the submarine's pneumatic catapult. A final check, a nod from Commander Tagama, and then, with a burst of compressed air, the aircraft is hurled into the air, accelerating rapidly off the deck of the I-25 and ascending into the twilight sky. The launch is successful. Fujita and Okuda are airborne, heading east towards the American mainland. Fujita guides the Glen inland, flying at a relatively low altitude to remain undetected, navigating by the faint glow of the Cape Blanco light. The flight path takes them over the small town of Brookings, Oregon, where the hum of the aircraft engine is heard by several residents below. The sight of an unfamiliar plane in the early morning sky causes some alarm, but the nature of the threat remains unknown. Two other fire lookouts, the Chetco Point Lookout and the Long Ri DGE Lookout, report the plane, but heavy fog obscures their view. Fujita's target is Wheeler Ridge on Mount Emily, located approximately 16 kilometers east of Brookings, deep within the Siskiyou National Forest. He intends to create a massive conflagration, a firestorm that will spread through the dry timber, fulfilling his mission's strategic objective. At about noon, Fujita releases his two incendiary bombs over the designated area. The bombs, designed to ignite forest fires, fall into the dense canopy. Unbeknownst to Fujita, fortune favors the Americans on this particular day. A recent, unseasonably heavy rainfall has left the forest floor thoroughly damp. The incendiary devices, instead of sparking a widespread blaze, primarily fizzle out, creating only small, localized fires. Howard Gardner and Bob Larson, stationed at the Mount Emily Fire Lookout Tower in the Siskiyou National Forest, spot the smoke plume rising from Wheeler Ridge. Gardner immediately reports the sighting to the dispatch office. 4 U.S. Forest Service employees quickly respond, locating the small fire and bringing it under control with relative ease. They discover fragments of the Japanese bomb, including its nose, which are then turned over to the United States Army. The damage is minimal. No lives are lost, and the strategic impact is negligible. One of the two bombs dropped is never found. After successfully dropping his payload, Fujita turns his Glen seaplane back towards the coast, retracing his flight path. He is unaware of the limited effect of his bombs, reporting back to the submarine that he saw flames. The journey back to the I-25 is as perilous as the flight inland. Upon reaching the rendezvous point, the Glen must be carefully guided back to the submarine, disassembled, and stowed away again. This entire operation, from launch to recovery, is a testament to the skill and coordination of the Japanese crew. Shortly after the bombing, the I-25 comes under attack by a USAAF aircraft on patrol. The American plane, possibly alerted by the reports of an enemy aircraft, forces the submarine to dive and hide on the ocean floor off Port Orford. The American attacks cause only minor damage to the resilient submarine. Despite the limited success of the first mission, the Japanese command decides to attempt a second bombing run. 3 weeks later, on September 29, 1942, the I-25 once again surfaces off the Oregon coast. Warrant Officer Nobuo Fujita and Petty Officer Okuda Shoji prepare for another audacious flight. This time, Fujita uses the Cape Blanco light as his primary beacon for navigation. After approximately 90 minutes of flying east, he drops his remaining two incendiary bombs over the Grassy Knob area, near Port Orford, in the Siskiyou National Forest. Again, Fujita reports seeing flames, believing he has initiated another fire. However, just like the first mission, the bombs failed to ignite a significant blaze, and the bombing remains unnoticed by American authorities. The heavy rains and damp conditions continue to thwart the Japanese strategy. The I-25, having deployed all its aircraft-borne incendiary bombs, then proceeds to torpedo and sink two American oil tankers, the SS Camden and SS Larry Doheny, off the coast of Oregon, before sailing for home. On its return journey to Japan, the I-25 mistakenly sinks the Soviet submarine L-16, which is in transit between Dutch Harbor, Alaska, and San Francisco, California, believing it to be an American vessel. Japan and the Soviet Union are not at war at this time. The immediate impact of Fujita's bombing raids on the contiguous United States is minimal in terms of physical damage. However, the psychological implications, though initially contained by a news blackout ordered by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to prevent public panic and maintain morale, are profound. The fact that an enemy aircraft could penetrate American airspace and deliver bombs, however ineffective, reveals a vulnerability that had previously been unthinkable. The Japanese, on the other hand, consider the mission a success, believing it demonstrated their ability to strike the American mainland and potentially divert resources. Fujita's missions, though small in scale, are a unique chapter in World War II history. They represent the only time during the entire conflict that the contiguous United States is subjected to aerial bombardment by an enemy aircraft. These are not reconnaissance flights, but deliberate acts of war, intended to cause destruction and sow fear. The meticulous planning, the long-range submarine deployment, and the daring flights over enemy territory highlight a remarkable, if ultimately ineffective, feat of military innovation and personal courage. The Glenn seaplane, a relatively small and unassuming aircraft, achieves a historical first, proving that no corner of the world, no matter how distant, is truly beyond the reach of determined adversaries. The I-25's journey is a testament to the Imperial Japanese Navy's advanced submarine capabilities. The B-1 type submarines, of which the I-25 is a part, are designed for extended range and reconnaissance, often carrying a single floatplane for observation. The decision to equip such a vessel with incendiary bombs and deploy it for a direct attack on the U.S. mainland marks a significant, albeit isolated, shift in strategy. The objective is not to conquer, but to harass, to demoralize, and to create a diversion. The selection of forest land as a target is a calculated move, exploiting the vulnerability of the vast, dry timber regions of the Pacific Northwest. Had conditions been drier, the outcome could have been catastrophic, potentially igniting fires that would have dwarfed any conventional bombing raid. Fujita, as the pilot, carries the immense weight of this mission. He is not just flying a plane, he is executing a strategic directive aimed at impacting an entire nation's war effort. His solitary flights over the American wilderness are a stark contrast to the massive bombing campaigns raging over Europe and Asia. Here, it is one man, one plane, against a continent. His observer, Petty Officer Okuda Shoji, shares the danger, scanning the skies for enemy aircraft and assisting with navigation in an era before advanced radar and GPS. The vulnerability of their small aircraft, equipped with only a single rear-mounted 7.7 mm machine gun for defense, underscores the sheer audacity of their undertaking. They are flying into the unknown, thousands of miles from friendly forces, with no hope of rescue if shot down. The success of their return to the submarine, twice, is as remarkable as the missions themselves. The I-25, after recovering the aircraft, must submerge quickly, becoming once again a silent hunter beneath the waves, disappearing into the vastness of the Pacific, leaving behind only the faintest whisper of its presence. 32:0038:00. It is a crisp, clear morning on September 9, 1942. The air over the Siskiyou National Forest is cool, damp from the night's rain, but the sun is beginning to pierce through the lingering mist. Far above, the drone of an unfamiliar engine grows louder, cutting through the usual sounds of the awakening forest. Howard Gardner, a vigilant fire lookout high on Mount Emily, scans the horizon from his tower. His gaze, accustomed to the familiar outlines of birds and clouds, suddenly locks onto something alien. A small, twin-float seaplane, unmistakably Japanese, glides silently through the sky. It is flying low, its silhouette sharp against the brightening eastern sky. The aircraft passes directly over Brookings, a fleeting shadow, before turning inland towards the dense, green expanse of Mount Emily. Fujita, focused and precise, guides his Glen at an altitude of approximately 3,000 meters, ensuring optimal bomb trajectory. His eyes are fixed on the designated target zone, Wheeler Ridge. Below, the forest canopy stretches endlessly, a mosaic of dark green pines and firs. He visualizes the inferno he is meant to unleash, the smoke plumes rising hundreds of feet into the sky, the fires spreading, demanding American attention. His hands are steady on the controls, his mind clear of doubt. Okuda, beside him, confirms their position. Target sighted, Fujita states, his voice calm over the intercom. Okuda responds, ready for drop. Fujita makes a final adjustment, the aircraft leveling out perfectly. He presses the release mechanism. A slight lurch. The 276-kilogram incendiary bombs detach from beneath the wings, plummeting silently towards the earth, gaining speed. They are sleek, dark projectiles against the pale morning sky. For a few agonizing seconds, they fall, a descent measured in heartbeats, destined for the unsuspecting forest below. From the lookout tower, Gardner watches, mesmerized and horrified. He sees the objects detach, small against the immense landscape, falling into the trees. A moment later, two distinct thuds resonate through the quiet air, followed by faint wisps of smoke beginning to curl upwards from the impact points. Not the roaring explosion he might have imagined, but a subtle, insidious beginning. Fujita banks the Glen hard, turning away from the target area. He looks back, straining to see the results of his mission. Through the morning haze, he discerns rising columns of smoke, faint but undeniable. Fires started, he reports to Okuda, a sense of accomplishment, perhaps grim satisfaction, in his tone. The mission, he believes, is a success. He has struck the American mainland, fulfilling his orders. The return journey begins immediately, a race against time and potential detection. The Glen climbs, then descends towards the ocean, seeking the clandestine embrace of the I-25, which waits patiently beneath the waves. The entire bombing run, from launch to recovery, is a testament to the audacious spirit of a single pilot, a single mission, and a single, isolated attack. 38:00 End. The immediate aftermath of Nobuo Fujita's bombing raids on September 9 and September 29, 1942, sees minimal physical damage to the Oregon forests. The damp conditions, a stroke of environmental luck for the United States, render the incendiary bombs largely ineffective. The fires are small, quickly contained by vigilant Forest Service employees, and cause no loss of life. President Roosevelt's news blackout ensures that the wider American public remains largely unaware of the extent, or even the existence, of the attack, thus mitigating any potential panic or demoralization. For many years, the incident remains a footnote, a forgotten curiosity in the vast canvas of World War II. Nobuo Fujita returns to Japan, continuing his service as a naval aviator. After the war, he settles into a quiet life, opening a hardware store in Ibaraki Prefecture. Yet, the memory of his unique mission, the only aerial bombing of the contiguous United States by an enemy aircraft in World War II, continues to define a part of his identity. Then, 2 decades after the war's end, an extraordinary turn of events begins to unfold. In 1962, the Brookings Harbor Junior Chamber of Commerce, JC's, a group of young men in the very town Fujita had targeted, decides to invite him to their annual Azalea Festival. It is an unprecedented gesture of goodwill, an attempt to bridge the chasm of wartime animosity with an act of reconciliation. The invitation sparks controversy within Brookings, with some residents vehemently opposing the idea, still harboring raw memories and resentments from the war. Yet, others, including President John F. Kennedy, support the initiative, recognizing its potential for fostering international friendship. Fujita accepts the invitation, but not without apprehension. He fears being tried as a war criminal. He brings with him his family's 400-year-old samurai sword, the same sword that accompanied him in the cockpit of the Glen during his bombing runs. His intention, a grim testament to the weight of his past actions, is to use the sword for seppuku, ritual suicide, should he be met with hostility or arrest. Instead, he is met with warmth, respect, and affection. During his visit, in a powerful act of contrition and friendship, Fujita presents his ancestral samurai sword to the city of Brookings, not to his son as tradition would dictate, but as a symbol of peace and understanding between the two nations. The sword, an artifact of war, transforms into a powerful emblem of reconciliation, now prominently displayed in the Chetco Community Public Library in Brookings. This first visit marks the beginning of a profound and enduring bond between Fujita and the town of Brookings. He returns multiple times, in 1990, 1992, and 1995. In 1992, he plants a redwood tree at the bomb site on Mount Emily as a lasting gesture of peace. He sponsors trips for Brookings High School students to visit Japan, fostering cultural exchange and understanding. He donates thousands of dollars for multicultural children's books to the Chetco Community Public Library. In September 1997, just days before his death at the age of 85 in Tsuchiura, Ibaraki Prefecture, Nobuo Fujita is made an honorary citizen of Brookings. His daughter, Yoriko Asakura, later travels to Oregon and scatters some of his ashes at the bomb site near Brookings, fulfilling his wish that a part of him would forever fly over Mount Emily. Nobuo Fujita's story transcends the immediate military significance of his mission. It becomes a testament to the human capacity for forgiveness and reconciliation, a powerful narrative of how former enemies can forge bonds of friendship and mutual respect. The lone pilot who once sought to ignite a destructive fire ultimately sows seeds of peace, leaving a legacy far more impactful than any wartime bomb. His journey from an enemy combatant to an honorary citizen of the town he once targeted stands as a unique and moving chapter in the annals of World War II history. If this incredible story of audacity and reconciliation moved you, subscribe to our channel. New forgotten stories of World War II every week. Which moment in Nobuo Fujita's remarkable journey surprised you most? Comment below.